Parisa Golchoubian, who is the founder and CEO of Retide, an environmental tech startup advancing ocean sustainability. And she's also the founder of Atura, a creative studio that sparks dialogue in environmental and social issues. She leverages technology, creativity, and systems thinking to inspire action toward a more sustainable future for us. And I will now pass on over to Parisa for a presentation. Parisa, you have the floor and you have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin now.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
Okay, wonderful. Happy to.
you're muted right now.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Don't know what happened there. I was just saying I'm really excited to be here amongst you all ocean lovers, especially on World Ocean Day. It's a very special day for all of us. My name is Parisa Golchoubian, and as the introduction mentioned, I am a founder. I'm a multiple founder of a few things going on. My practice has two main wings. I'm a practicing artist, and I built my own art projects as well as community-led art projects of the world. And I also have an engineering background and a tech startup where we build technology solutions around marine plastic pollution. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I also consider myself a nomad. As of today, I have been to 30 countries. I'm currently calling in from Rio and Brazil. And one of the honors and privileges that I've had through my travels is to see the marine plastic pollution up close and talk to communities about the problem, how every country and community is going about it. I've been involved in multiple projects and I've built my own, again, in the art community, but also around using technology to be as a solution to bring funds and more opportunity to these communities, as was being spoken earlier. There's a lot of, ocean brings is a finance brings financing to 2 billion people on this planet, and there's definitely more room for an opportunity to tap more into that I'm sure that we will be talking about more as the panel progresses and the questions go on. But thank you.
Thank you, Parisa. That was great. Thank you for sharing more about your work. Your efforts or experience clearly highlight the importance of interdisciplinary approaches and community engagement through both Retide and Atera. And the work you do with Retide just brings an innovative and important perspective to the conversation on ocean sustainability. I know you just said you're taking, or you did an engineering, or you had an engineering background. So yes, that's pushing us further and will definitely be very progressive for our ocean sustainability of the future.
So, Parisa, as both an artist and an engineer, you bridge storytelling and systems thinking, so same storytelling. How can creative communication and visual storytelling help people better understand the urgency of protecting oceans and waterways?
Yes, thank you. As someone who has those both of those backgrounds and two companies in these two spaces, I highly resonate with everything that Adiza was also saying. As humans, we really think of ourselves as these really logical and intellectually driven decision makers, but the reality of it is that we make decisions based on our emotions and we protect what we care about. And I am someone who is dealing with data around oceans on a daily basis. My company, Retide, we are an AI intelligence platform. So we essentially take data, all the data that we have from multiple sources across the world about our oceans, and we use AI and other means to extract intelligence and meaning from them so that people can use them for decision making. But even as someone who is in this space, I still see day to day that people make decisions based on what they think, what they care about, and what they prioritize. So in that sense, art is this soft way to and it's like it touches the heart. It is a way to communicate and a way to make people care. Storytelling is at the heart of any art creation. As an artist, I'm a believer that first and foremost, I'm a storyteller. So in any form that I'm creating, I usually paint, but I also do all sorts of different things. My company, we do short form documentaries. We lead festivals, all sorts of different ways of bringing people together, surrounded by the mission of art. And I really see that how much of a different approach it is when people approach the problem from that side. They're more receptive. They're more open. They ask questions.
I'm going to zoom
They,
off on this too, you guys.
I'm sorry, I don't know. So yeah, but
Exactly.
so yes, so it just I find that whenever I'm painting, say like if I'm painting a mural around plastic pollution, people approach me and they ask questions versus the other way around when it's data, I feel like I'm the one trying to force the data on. And with data, it also has this effect that it almost has this paralyzing effect. You know, everybody thinks that, oh my God, there's so much doom and gloom, like, and there's not much we can do about it. Versus when it comes to art, it's this soft element that it invites people in and people have conversations and they ask and they're curious and it gives them a way to pass on something they care about. Because I usually invite people into my art creations. I ask them to paint along with me or do something together. And that really changes the whole dynamic. Now they created something that make them feel that they can be part of this conversation, make an impact. So there's so much that I'm a believer that those two need to play together. Like we can't just also like there needs to be understanding and data. Otherwise, like what are we telling stories about? So there needs to be this element of like understanding and data and really having logic around all of what we're talking about. But then that needs to translate into means that people can digest and means of people, ways to how they would care about it. And that really is the whole power of art and why I'm so passionate about that side of everything that I do.
Thanks, Parisa. That's really great. Yeah, so storytelling, being an art, there's a huge connection. People are very visual, right? What they can see, what they can interact, how they feel, like you say, because art really evokes emotion, right? With environments, starting environments, it was key. Storytelling, so how very important it was for people to be able to see themselves in the environment, in solutions, initiatives, right? So, and also to be able to break down, in terms of communication, break down the words so that people understand it better, right? As opposed, because environment, oceans can be very technical, right? But being able to break down the words so that everybody can understand brings people in, right? So it's really, really important. I know in environment, we now have a character, right? Which we call um Shelley, Shelley Earthwork, right? So it was made for that purpose entirely so that people are able to see Shelley and, and she makes me want to look at her, right? And hear her and understand from her perspective. So storytelling is key, art is key, and so you guys, what you're doing is really, really amazing. Now, through initiatives like Retide, you explore solutions to ocean plastic pollution. What role does circular economy thinking play in reducing marine waste and creating more sustainable communities?
Yeah, thank you for that. So in order to answer this, let me tell you guys a little bit about what we're doing under Retide. So Retide is a tech startup that we have started around a year and a half ago. And the whole mission has been to, well, first off, bring visibility around the plastic crisis. But in order to do that, we are building the first global plastic map in our oceans. So imagine like the map, the Google map, where like any type of map you're used to, we're building that for plastic to be able to show how it moves, where it accumulates, get all sorts of different insights from that. One of the things that this tool gives us visibility into is to see these trends over time, how things are changing and how community action is changing these trends. So we can actually see from satellite imagery and with AI who can pick things up, we can actually see when a cleanup happens. We can see the change. And then by that means we can verify that a cleanup actually happened. As such, this tool is very useful when it comes to any corporation who wants to fund these cleanups for their own ESG requirements. Unfortunately, in this space, we all know there's quite a bit of greenwashing that happens in anything environmental. So this tool really allows that verification and to provide audit-ready proofs and reports that organizations can use, and also cleanup operators on the ground can use as ways to report their impact. They can see, we can actually show them on satellite that this cleanup happened, how much we estimated the cleanup was in terms of tons of or kilograms of plastic collected and all that stuff. Now, just that verification, that the trust factor kind of enables and unlocks a lot of funding through getting funneled into this space. Because as someone who's been working with operators, and I've been through all the levels of the plastic recovery chain, from governments to international organizations to actual people on the ground. I participate in cleanups quite regularly. There's always this issue of getting funding to do them. And there's always this issue of organizations on the other side want to fund these to offset their plastic footprint, to stay ESG compliant and all that stuff, the big corporations. So they want to fund, but there's an issue of trust, and there's an issue of really visibility and transparency. So our tool really allows to do that. And in that way, it funnels more funding to these communities, which is much needed and much well deserved. So it's really what we're like, tools like this and the way technology in general can play, I think it can tap into multiple ways of like fixing the system, because the plastic pollution problem is really a system that is broken. There's so many well-intended people around the world doing amazing work, and I've seen it up close. But it's really the parts of the system don't work together. And as a systems engineer, this is something that I think about on a daily basis, is that how can we bring all these parts together to work together nicely, and for the finance to flow in to support all these initiatives. So yeah.
Thanks, Parisa. That's really great. Your tool, really love to know more about your tool, in terms of satellite imagery, being able to verify, and totally agree in terms of plastic pollution being a broken system, right? Really agree on that. And hopefully during the question and answer session, we'll be able to ask you more questions regarding the tool. It's very interesting. Many communities are directly impacted by pollution, climate change, but may lack access to resources or visibility. How can innovation and community-centered design help create more equitable and accessible environmental solutions?
Yeah, well, before I answer that, I just wanted to say that I found your book on Amazon, and I'm very interested to give it a read. So thank you for what you do. And I'm a very huge believer of education for kids and children. And as Obi was saying, like it's crazy how much of like even my science knowledge today is reference to books that I read as a child. So I think what you're doing is very, very important. So thank you. As far as the question, kind of continuing the conversation I was having in the last question. So under Retide, really what our goal is to bring visibility and more opportunities for funding for different communities that are already doing cleanups around the world. And the beauty of satellite imagery is that it covers our entire planet. So it doesn't really matter where you are. We can capture the activity that is happening on the ground, and we can help build impact reports and all those things. And one of the things that is slowly happening, not at the speed that we all hope or wish that it was, is policymaking around this whole space when it comes to plastic pollution and whatnot. But there are slowly activities that are taking shape, and one of them that I'm pretty excited about is the space of plastic credits. So plastic credits, if you're familiar with carbon credits, it's a finance vehicle for big corporations to be able to fund cleanup activities to offset their plastic footprint. So say a big corporation that puts a lot of single-use plastic out there, buys plastic credit, which is like one plastic credit is equivalent of 1 ton of plastic taken out of the environment. So they buy that one plastic credit as 1 ton, and they buy enough to offset whatever they put out. So that is something that is currently starting to see more traction. Most of the activity is still voluntary, so these corporations are mainly doing this voluntarily, but we are starting to see more mandatory regulations rolling out, especially in Europe, and hopefully we will see that more in North America as well. As that activity happens, we can see that any plastic collected from the environment would have inherent value now because it could be tied to a plastic credit. So in that way, it's funneling funds to these smaller communities that lack funding usually, but also visibility. And that's also something that we're trying to help with under Retide. But yeah, right as of now, what we're seeing in most countries and most countries where they lack formal waste infrastructure, is that the plastic that is being recovered from the environment, if any, are the ones that recycling facilities buy. And those are usually the the bottles, the plastic that is easily recyclable, but the other plastic that is not doesn't have any value that they can't recoup any funds from, they just leave in the environment. So like it's not being cleaned up. But when the plastic credit is being introduced, it doesn't care about the type of plastic. It's just plastic. So any type of plastic that is recovered from the environment would have now value assigned to it. And in that way, it changes a little bit of the ecosystem and the structure and systems in place. So that is something that I'm very excited about, and I'm hoping that with the rollout of more of these regulations, we will see movement in that.
Thanks, Parisa. Yeah, I'm really excited about the plastic credits. Like I hope it takes off in North America because it's going to be just like carbon credit, it's going to be huge because it can be seamlessly integrated into the systems that are already being created. Like because everyone focus is a greater responsibility organization. So we already deal with our clients that we're like, what do we do with these plastics? You know what I mean? So if they're able to get the plastic credits, there's incentives to, recycle more or, you know, and then with the funding, with the ability to gain funding through your tool, that's also huge, because a lot of people the inaction is because of lack of resources for some people, right? It's not for everybody, but for some people, the inaction is a result of lack of resources.